I'm going to walk you through how you can turn your side hustle into your main hustle, aka your full-time job, if that's what you want to do. I side hustled my own business for a few years before I took the plunge and made it my full-time career. I'm going to assume that you have a side hustle that's working, it's bringing in some revenue, and if not, go back and watch some of my videos around how to monetize what you're good at, as well as how to start a side hustle. In this video, I'm going to walk you through some of my learnings and mistakes I've made when I started to put together my plan and what I wish I would have done differently. So you can learn from my mistakes and fast track your success. First and foremost, let's talk about your business's revenue. It's really important that your business's revenue is set up for success and it's solid before you even entertain this idea. So if you're not at a place yet where your business can sustain itself and you're continuously having to not pay yourself and or even put your personal savings into it, then you're not ready to go full time, and that's okay. We're going to make a plan to help you get ready. But first and foremost, your business needs to have consistent, stable revenue. That means making sure you nail your product and make sure there's product market fit, you've validated it, there's a unique selling point. So important to have a product and a service that is knocking it out of the park. Next, you want to have a really solid community of customers that are your diehard fans. They will move with you and there's trust and credibility built up with them. So having a great product and an engaged community, these are both aspects that are key to really ensure you have consistent revenue with your business. Before you even entertain the idea of quitting your full-time job to do this, I think it's so important to nail both those things so that you can feel confident in this decision. And then something that's a nice to have is to understand your sales levers. If you know you have a product and a service, and if you have a dry month in terms of sales, and you can get to a place where you know what levers to push and pull, whether it's ads or collaborations or a launch strategy, you can rinse and repeat. That can really help you with the scariness of quitting your job, because the ups and the downs when it comes to revenue in a business, it's so true. If you know how to navigate that, that can help with your confidence in making this your full-time job and your full-time income. So figuring that out is so key. We talked about the revenue, so have a great product, have an engaged community, and then try to figure out your sales levers as much as possible. But next, you also want to have really good profits. Try to save as much as you can from a business perspective. If you don't have to spend money, don't do it. Don't have the fanciest subscriptions, or don't hire people if you don't need to. Be quite frugal here and very strategic around what you're investing in. I'm not saying you shouldn't invest in things. I'm just saying be smart about it and don't just spend your money haphazardly. You want to make sure you are very intentional and mindful, and everything you spend money on is going to give you a return. Think through your business savings and your personal savings, because a rookie mistake I made, and I know other people make, is they kind of mesh it together. So they think, oh, okay, well, I have, let's say, 15K in savings, so that should hold me over. But what about the business? If the business doesn't make money for 6 months, are you able to pay your contractors? Are you able to continue to pay all your subscriptions? What does that look like? The business needs its own nest egg, and then you personally need your own nest egg as well. Making sure you can build up that runway for your business and also for you personally is so important. Let's talk about your income, because like I mentioned, what the business is making is separate from what you are making. And a mistake I made is that as soon as we closeted, was consistently making above my corporate salary, I was like, I think I'm good. But honestly, what I needed to be looking at is making sure the business could pay my corporate salary. So let's say, for sake of math, I was making 100 grand a year. As soon as my business is making 100 grand, that is not when I can quit. I can quit when the business can responsibly pay me 100 grand a year. So maybe the business actually needs to be making 300 grand a year so that it can pay me 100 grand. We can do another 100 grand in expenses, let's say, and then have 100 grand saved. So you need to really think through strategically and separate out the fact that you are going to be paid by the business, but the business also has other expenses it needs to be able to take care of on its own. Knowing that and knowing the income that your business needs to hit so that you can still be paid, or you don't have to match your corporate salary, but whatever you need to survive and whatever you're comfortable with, but that needs to be done. And then from a savings perspective, like I said, you need to have your own personal savings and the business needs its savings as well. I would sit down and list out every single month what the business is spending on, what's the nice to haves, what are the must haves, and what that number looks like. Personally, I would sit down for you as well and look through your nice to have expenses and your must have expenses. So must-have expenses would look like rent, groceries, internet, all those things are must-haves. I would total that up. And let's say for the sake of math, that's $500 a month. I would then total up your nice-to-have expenses. So maybe that's your fancy gym membership. Maybe that's your smoothie or whatever you do to treat yourself, or your coffees. And let's say that adds up to $1,500. So nice to have is every single month you would like to spend, let's say $2,000. And then necessity wise, you need at least $500 a month to spend. So I would try to save up at least 6 months of nice to have expenses. And so that way, if shit hits the fan and something goes entirely wrong, you at least can stretch that out and you can live really, really frugally and just on your must to haves for maybe even a year if needed. In this case, if we're spending about $2,000 a month to fully live our best life, then we need to be saving at least $12,000 because 2,000 times 6 is 12. If we really need to, we know that we can pare our spending down to $500 a month. So that actually is able to take us a little bit longer if we were able to save $12,000. Think of it that way. And then on the business side, do the exact same thing. So what are some must-have expenses? Maybe that certain subscriptions, maybe that is contractor salaries that you just really need that help. Look at what that looks like. And then what are the nice-to-haves? For your business, I would try to save up at least 8 months of runway because with the business, there's a lot of ups and downs. And I think you can take a lot of things off the plate for you. You could just literally pay rent and groceries and not go out and live that frugal lifestyle. But for the business, sometimes you do need to invest to grow. So I would try to err on the side of caution and just save up as much as you can. Honestly, in both instances, if you can save up about a year's worth, I would highly recommend you do that. Personally, I was able to save up a year's worth of personal expenses. When I quit my job, I had a lot of company stock options that I sold. So a big portion of that I used as my savings. And I tried not to dip into it, but I knew it was there if I needed it. On the business side, I saved about 6 months. And I really wish I saved more because it's so hard to be frugal with the business when you know you're growing it and you need to scale it. But for you personally, like you could just eat out less, right? Or you could cut your gym membership and run outside. Like there's things you can do. So I wish I did that a little bit differently, but just keeping the personal and the business separate is definitely something that will help you cover your bases. And then if you can logically look through all of that and know personally you can pay rent for a year, or business-wise, you can pay all your contractors for a year, it makes the emotional turmoil of quitting just so much easier because you can see it all on paper. If you want to turn your side hustle into your main hustle, you absolutely can do it. You just need to be strategic financially. And I just don't want you to have to go through some of the mental hurdles I had to go through when it came to finances and all this stuff. Trust me, separate it out. Make sure your business can sustain itself first from a financial perspective. Make sure you have a great product, you have an engaged community. Try to get to know your sales levers. But beyond that, make sure your business is super smart and what it's spending money on, and there's enough that's being saved. And then personally for you too, you know what you're spending money on, what are your must-haves for survival, and then what are your nice-to-haves. Try to just save as much as possible. Bare minimum 6 months personal savings and business savings, but ideally you could do 8 months or 12 months. I hope this helps you. I think it's so exciting. You're trying to transition your side hustle into your main hustle. Feel free to comment any other questions you have. Feel free to DM me at Selena J. Ho on Instagram. I'm here to support you, so I'm so proud of you. When you do finally quit, please let me know. Send me your DM, do an Instagram story and tag me because I would love to celebrate with you.